Friends, Rick, and this is your Seat at the Table. This is still Labor Day weekend. Obviously, I've done multiple videos by now, and that in the background is little Missy sitting there. She's in the cat carrier. She's behaving herself while she's crying. She hasn't ate much of her breakfast. She's not liking being in the box. I get that. But, otherwise she would be up all over here. Yes? Do you hear my voice? Yeah? You're still a happy kitty? Yes? You're still too skinny. You're so skinny. I'm hoping in another couple weeks when you get just a little more weight on her. You can't even tell she's gaining weight. That's what bothers me. And then, of course, my wife points out that happens to the last one, too. It took a while. So, she's doing well, and I think we need to get her into the air all the sooner than later, because she's coming in and out of heat, and that's has its own challenges. Anyhow, we are looking at obviously a PDF copy of the TSR Dungeons and Dragons, and I believe this is the Metzer version, as some of them people call it. I mean, this is not the edited version that right. Yeah. Where is it? I read something that said something about that very thing. Yeah. Oh, the Dave Arneson. So it's revised by Frank Mentzer. That's the one. So it's Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, but Frank Mentzer is the one that sets the tone for the next couple series of books or editions. First edition is definitely influenced by Metzer's changes for the basic and expert series. And so when this book came out, this was 1983, 2 years before I graduated high school. So this is very likely the version that I bought in 83, and I want to say it was 83. I can't be 100% sure because it was it wasn't out very long before I got it. I'd got Gamma World, and when Gamma World came, there was a big advert for this in the very back, and I absolutely had to order it. And this was back when you did everything with snail mail and you ordered. So this came with two separate books. You have the basic rule book, basically your player's handbook, and then there is a version back here for the DM, and they recommend, of course, that the player should never read the DM guide, and which is highly unlikely. I mean, it wasn't very long before anybody who was worth their salt had their own set of rule books, because that's just the way we go. Yeah, the Dungeon Master's rule book right there. And so we set into this stuff. And this is one of the basic systems that stood the test of time. And yes, there's been numerous editions that come out, much more advanced, hence the term Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, more advanced versions with much more expanded rules and deeper play options and luxury. It just goes on and on. But from the basic concept. So when we see this renaissance coming out, over the last 10 years about old school role playing, or OSRs, or however you guys acronyms spin that these days, a lot of that is based off of these tunnels and trolls and basic Dungeons and Dragons and Rollmaster, the early game mechanic systems that, while they seem clunky and chunky, in some aspects they are, because they were new and people weren't sure how how successful to apply them, and more important, they have not had time to be smoothed off and modified, etc. And sometimes, much to our detriment, they get too much modified and smoothed off and cease to be relevant or useful. So anyhow, the fact of it is, I had my original set, along with I gave it to my oldest son, along with most of my first edition D&D modules that I did have, and there was like 8 or 9 of those, and I also gave him my top secrets and all my books that went with that game, much to my I really chagrin. I kind of rue doing it now. He never got into the games himself, and I don't know whatever happened to them after that. And because of my ex-wife and my first marriage being such a disaster, and my inability at the time to become to be above it, my son and I became estranged, and we never talked. So I gave it to him on hopes to find some kind of thing that connect us. and it was pointless anyway. So the fact of it is, the basic system. This is a game system that if my grandkids ever show up and would like to become involved in gaming of some sort, I would buy the OSR version of the newest version of something that was similar to this. I don't know if if I could get I've got a free copy of this now. I could easily just do this and give it to them. I mean, and it's something that it's easy to comprehend, and it's not too hard. As much as people want to be complaining about the system and about THACO and other stuff that goes into combat system, and I'm not sure THACO is a relative thing. I think THACO is actually second edition bullshit. Or excuse me, second edition modifications. So I mean, I don't know. I played what it was at the time. That's the main thing, and this was the thing. We would come rushing home from elementary school, and then later junior high, and grade school. Was it 7th, 8th grade? What the hell they called that? That wasn't really junior high. Anyway, my buddy and I, we would come rushing home every day after school and spend a couple hours as often as we could playing. And so it's still a solid system. Even here we are, 45 odd years later, damn close to it, 50 odd years later, and just about anybody with half a brain could sit down and a couple afternoons of tweaking with it, playing with it, can easily learn how to set up characters and how to run little campaigns and have fun doing it. Too many people they're enamored by the video game, and the video game is so limiting. I grant you, they've come a long way, and the sandbox options and many of these modern video games are getting more and more elaborate, and AI will probably only make that more so. I don't know though. At some point, our imagination, our mind takes hold. And that's what sets many gamers apart from normal people in some ways, because we have this creative corner in our mind, in our psyche, that needs fed. And when it doesn't get fed, we suffer for it. And we're happier when we're feeding the beast. And in doing so, it's... Anyway, I guess I'm getting off my philosophical BS I don't want to go do. Anyway, so like I said, this here was such a footstone in my beginning days for gaming in general, and my love of science fantasy and sword and sorcery. It just holds true to this day. And I would recommend this without a doubt to everybody and anybody. This, if you wanted to say, what is a good starter game for my kids? It's this system. This system taught the bulk of gamers, old grognards today, 7 out of 10 of them. This is what you cut your teeth on when you started. Tell me I'm wrong, right? I'm just saying, tell me I'm wrong.